living in a world that has a Five Nights at Freddy's movie in it. It took 8 whole years, but it finally exists. And I've been here since the very beginning waiting for this thing to come out. If you guys can't tell by my channel already, I love this franchise with all my heart. I could tell you almost anything you want about the lore. And I was so excited for this movie, more than anything else ever. And I got to see it Thursday, October 26th, early. I got an early screening in my local movie theater. And, all right, I'm going to give it from my personal enjoyment to more of a critic perspective. But personally, I've never enjoyed a movie this much. I've watched it 5 times already. I have it on Peacock. I've watched it 5 times already. For a FNaF fan, it's going to be a perfect movie, and I enjoyed every little thing. My theater was very lively, and I screamed "Sparky the dog" when they went into the back room, and I freaking loved this movie. I'd rather go over the critic perspective first, since that's kind of, that's going to be the more boring stuff. Because that's going to be a little more critical, obviously, of the negatives, because this is not a perfect movie. Now, I think the Rotten Tomatoes score is really bothering me right now. Because, listen, look at that, and then look at the audience score. It just comes to show. Because we all know Rotten Tomatoes isn't very reliable, and this is kind of a really good example of that. Especially from Willy's Wonderland, which is, not a very particularly good movie. I enjoyed it just because it's funny. But, yeah, the fact that it's past the 60s is kind of miraculous. And comes to show, more the audience score is what we should be looking at in those kind of movies. Because that really shows the enjoyment. But if I were to say as a critic, because I watch a lot of movie review stuff, I think I have a fair say in this. So, the movie has a lot of passion and a good heart, and I love that about it. You could tell that there's so much love in here for this movie, and a lot of things are good from an objective movie standpoint that I think any person will appreciate. One being the practical effects are really, really, really good, and there's some awkward dialogue in there. There is a couple lines that come out rather awkwardly, and I could see why some people that might be a little off-turning, as well as a little bit of pacing issues towards the middle, like when they're building a pillow fort. That's a bit goofy, but they didn't bother me, but it might bother a critic who's seen this. Some of the lore is confusing, especially with Golden Freddy. He kind of just appears. It might not be the biggest deal, but it's still. Pacing issues are there too, and it's kind of it's the story's kind of thin, but it's not something that's really, to me at least, a big deal. And I do think that Josh Hutcherson and Matthew Lillard had really, really great performances as William Afton as Michael Schmidt. But it kind of, there's weird parts in the pacing where I could see from a critic's perspective that it's going too slow, too quick, too slow, too quick, and I could see why that might be bothersome. And, the PG-13 rating, for me at least, didn't really bring it down. I thought it was really cool how they did the kills, and if I can look at your movie that's such a bad way to go out, that's how I know you did the best of what you had. And that's why I think from a critical perspective, it's nowhere near perfect, but it's still a decent movie from a critic's perspective. Now, as a fan of this franchise, as big as me, I knew I was going to like this movie, even if it was absolute garbage. But a lot of my expectations were subverted in pretty much all good ways. They had to take a lot of creative liberties with how they did the lore, because if you do it how the games is, that's way too much content to cover. And I did like a lot of stuff. So Vanessa being William Afton's daughter is something I found very interesting, and kind of what that can mean for the larger picture, and whether Elizabeth Afton's around, Circus Baby, or any of the sister location animatronics, if that's around, is very interesting. The Balloon Boy cameos, the Balloon Boy little Easter eggs were funny. The Matt Pack cameo was crazy. My theater was very loud. Corey Kenshin was great, obviously. Again, the Sparky the dog in the back room, that was a very clever. If you didn't know, there was a hoax in 2014, pre-FNaF 2, that there was a secret 6th animatronic. It was all bullshit, but he was a little Photoshop blur in the door. People would say, "Oh, that's Sparky the dog," but it was all crap. But they canonized it, which was pretty funny. But I loved the movie. There's a really cool shot of Foxy coming out of Pirates Cove, the kid who possessed him going in and then coming back out. I thought that was really cool. I really loved how the animatronics looked and how they moved, and I really just appreciated every second of this movie. I just thought it was for the fans, and I could tell how much heart and passion that was put into this, and I really, really do appreciate that. and I'm just happy to see. And box office is looking good so far. So you know what? I think that we have a solid chance at the full trilogy that we're promised. And they can to see where they'll bring this franchise is going to be a really cool thing to see if we get that best case scenario. But I think this is a good groundwork, and that we there's a good chance we get that. Especially, I loved Matthew Lillard's performance. I wish he was in the movie more, but I thought his performance was really good and very big Stu Macher Scream vibes, and that's what I liked about it. As well as I really liked Josh Hutcherson, Mike Schmidt. Like he had his whole inner conflict about his brother Garrett, and like how he's like kind of juggling around Abby with these jobs and stuff. I thought he was great. That was a big surprise to me how well Mike Schmidt was in this movie. I thought he was one of the best aspects of it, and just kind of like his realization, it's especially I like because he knows he can't change the past, but he just wants to know, he wants to be able to fix it so bad at any cost, but he realizes like what the price of that will be. So it's like he has to deal with something he's already accepted because there's still consequences to what he's still trying to do. I really like that about it, and I really just like the movie in general. So you know what, I'm hoping that it keeps doing as good as it already is doing early, and yeah, that's about it. See you guys. Post-production EJ here real quick. I forgot to say something about Matthew Lillard and Springtrap. I just thought that was my favorite part of the movie easily. I really loved that. It was really cool. I really liked the design of the Bonnie suit, and I thought the Springlock scene was really well handled. And I knew it was going to happen from the beginning, but seeing it happen was so cool. And also in the back room, where they try to stuff Abby, looks like a animatronic version of Ella from the books, which was pretty cool too. And I listen. Won't lie to you, when he said I always come back, me and my friends did laugh because it was pretty funny. But all right, now I'm done. See you guys.